Good evening, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jenn B, and you are listening to the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tonight, we are going to talk about those first place Guardians. We're going to talk about some roster moves that they've made over the last week, have an injury update. We will, of course, talk about what has happened over the last week or so, and then what is coming up next. We will talk about how the Columbus Clippers and the Akron Rubber Ducks are doing, have a couple of Cavs and Charge updates in the basketball front, and one update in the hockey front with the Monsters. Then we will talk about the Columbus Crew. We will talk college football with Ohio State, Youngstown State, Mount Union, and John Carroll. And we will wrap things up with the Cleveland Browns. Though, don't really want to talk about that one, but we will. So stay right here with the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Welcome to the Show of the Land with Jenn B right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Like I said, we will be talking Guardians, Cavs, Charge, Monsters, Crew, Ohio State, Youngstown State, Mount Union, John Carroll, and last but, well, maybe least, the Browns. But before we get into the sports, we need to take a moment to hear a word from our wonderful sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet, and of course, Seal the Deal Wax Seals. And then we will also get a word from the head honcho Larry B about IE Sports Radio. So stay right here, listening to the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and we will be right back after these messages.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back. You are listening live to the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Be sure to go check them out, planetjerky.net. Place your orders today. Get free shipping on orders over $50. And let me tell you, it is the best beef jerky out there. So you don't want to miss out on that. And Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Go to iesportsradio.com/seal the deal wax seals. Place your orders there. It is the perfect finish to your invitations, gifts, and letters. Give it that extra special touch. And of course, be sure to follow IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and subscribe on YouTube. And if you miss the shows live, you can catch the audio playback on all of these wonderful podcast options: Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, so on and so forth. Be sure to check out our website for all kinds of fun stuff, our blog, Fans of the Month, our Hall of Fame. There's a little chat forum in there. It is free to sign up. And of course, every show has their own page, and there's a little bio about yours truly on my page. And you can also get links to all of the previous shows on there. And you can check out the shop and pick up some IE Sports Radio merch. You can follow the show at Show of the Land IE, and you can follow me personally at BelieveLandGirl on X, IG, and Threads, and on TikTok at Jen.BelieveLand. Now let's get into those sports. First up is the Guardians. Have some roster moves to talk about. Sunday, the Guardians selected Anthony Gose from AAA Columbus and designated Scott Barlow for assignment. On Monday, they recalled Joey Cantillo from AAA Columbus and designated Anthony Gose for assignment. Again, I believe that's the third time. So that is it for the roster updates. They actually didn't do much this week. Do have one injury update, which actually I just saw today. Sam Henches had a second or third or fourth or however many opinions it's been now on his shoulder, and it has been determined that he will need surgery, so he will be undergoing shoulder surgery on September 18th on his left shoulder, which is his throwing shoulder because he is a left-handed pitcher. And the recovery time is 12 to 14 months. So that means no Sam Hedges probably through next season. So that stinks. But hopefully he will be better after. Now for the weekend review, you will see the current standings there scrolling across the bottom of your screen for the AL Central. This was an up and down week for the Guardians. Tuesday, they won 7-1 over the Kansas City Royals. It was their 80th win of the season. However, Josh Naylor did leave the game with acute back spasm, so that was a bit concerning. But he did not miss any games, so seems to be doing okay. Wednesday, they lost 4-1 to the Kansas City Royals, so they went 2-3 in that series, or maybe it was 3-1. I can't remember if it was 3 games or 4 games. Anyway, they lost 1, so that is what it is. Friday, they headed out to LA to take on the billion-dollar Dodgers, and they won 3-1. Clase recorded his 42nd save. But that was the end of the winning. Well, until yesterday. But Saturday, they lost 7-2 to the LA Dodgers. Gavin Williams started and he could just not find any command. He ended up giving up 4 runs in the first inning and was pulled in the first inning for Pedro Avila. And then Avila came in and gave up a 2-run home run. So, yeah, fun. It was just not a good pitching day for the Guardians, and obviously not a very good hitting game either, since they only scored 2 runs. But that's 2 more than they scored on Sunday. Sunday, they lost to the Dodgers 4-0. But fear not, it is White Sox time. So yesterday, they began a series in Chicago against the White Sox, and they won 5-3. Joey Cantillo got the start, and he was perfect through the first 6 2/3 innings, and he had 10 strikeouts. Emmanuel Clase recorded save number 43, so he is now 1 away from his career best in saves. Bo Naylor hit a home run and stole 2 bases and became the second catcher in franchise history to do so in a single game. So that's pretty awesome. Way to go, Bo. As you can see down here, where's my camera? There we go. Down here. The Guardians are still in first place. They are up. I just missed it. They are up 3.5 games over the Kansas City Royals, 6 games over the Twins, 9 games over Detroit, and we don't even need to talk about the White Sox because that's just bad. That's just super bad. So they're still in very good position. They have 2 more games against the White Sox, so that is good. So today it was announced that Stephen Kwan will be the Guardians' nominee for the Robert Clemente Award. So congratulations to Stephen Kwan. Be sure to get on MLB.com and place your votes for our guy, Stephen Kwan, the best left fielder ever. Well, I don't know about that, but the best left fielder right now. How about that? Next up for the Guardians, like I said, 2 more against the White Sox. And then they will have a 4-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays and a 4-game series against the Minnesota Twins. So hopefully they can keep winning and the Royals can keep losing and the Twins can keep losing and we can just stay right where we are. Before we head on into the minor leagues, let's check the chat. We have a Taryn Rodriguez, and he says, "Good evening, Jen. Have an awesome show." And tough one for the Brownies. Every dog has its day. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to talking about that later, but we'll get to it. And Ralph says, "Good evening, Jenn B. Have a great show. Just don't talk about Deshaun Watson." Yeah, well, we will get to that at the end of the show. Also, I have been dreading this all day. Did not want to talk about it, but it needs to be talked about. So now for our minor league teams. The Columbus Clippers had an okay week. They went 3-2 this past week. They start a series tonight against St. Paul. They are currently in third place, 1.5 games behind Nashville for second, and 9.5 back from first. So they're still looking all right. The Rubber Ducks, on the other hand, had an awful week, but they clinched their playoff berth, so who cares, right? They went 1-5 this week, and they start a series against Hartford tonight. They are still in first place, and they are 1.5 games above Erie, and they are still the only team in the league to have clinched a playoff berth. So they're still sitting pretty. So it is what it is. But hopefully they'll get back to some winning. But that is about it for the Guardians. I mean, what more can you say? They're having a much better season than anybody expected them to. So I cannot complain. And when I told my husband last night that Joey Cantillo, a rookie pitcher, went 6 2/3 innings perfect, he about fell out of his chair, and he was like, "Wow, they really have a shot this year, don't they?" So we'll see. We'll see. Not going to count our eggs before they're hatched, but I'm going to take a short break. And when we come back, we will talk Cavs, Charge, Monsters, and Crew. And you know what? I take that back. Let's start over. Cavs, Charge, Monsters, Crew, and college football. We will do the last segment, just Browns, because it sucks. So, last segment will be just Browns. When we come back, we will do the basketball, the hockey, the soccer, and the college football. So stay right here listening to the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And we will be right back after this.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For a down south education on Florida sports and athletics, it's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Oh, sorry. What is happening? Sorry, 1 second. Ugh, my phone was being weird. Anywho, um, let's get back into it with the Cavs and the Charge. Not a whole lot going on here, but we did have a little bit of news. The Cavs re-signed Tristan Thompson officially, so TT will be back for a 15th, I think it is, season. It might be 14th, one of the two. Oh, sorry, there's something in my eye. Anywho, they also signed JT Thor to a two-way contract, and they officially assigned Amoni Bates to a two-way contract as well. And the Charge have promoted Chris Darnell to head coach after their previous head coach has been promoted and is now on Kenny Atkinson's staff with the Cavs. So, congratulations to Chris Darnell. And hopefully, the Charge will have a much better season than they did last year because it was not great. Now, for some monsters, it's just one little thing with the monsters. They signed Jake Gaudet to an AHL contract for the 2024 to 25 season. So, welcome back to Jake. Hopefully, he will have another great season and monsters can make it back to the playoffs. While we're on the monsters, I would like to just give another shout out to the Gaudreaus. They held the memorial service for the Gaudreau brothers yesterday, and in even more bittersweet news, Johnny Gaudreau's widow, Meredith, announced during her eulogy that she just found out she is 9 weeks pregnant. So there are now 2 unborn babies that will be born without their fathers around. So bittersweet, and prayers and everything up to the Gaudreaus and all who cared for them, including the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Calgary Flames. I don't know why I can't say Calgary. Flames, and all those in the hockey world that loved and adored the Gaudreau brothers, and may God watch over those precious babies. Now, let's get into some soccer. More bad news, unfortunately. The Crew are just, ugh, you know, with the international call-ups, they are having some issues, but they were the number 1 ranked team in the latest CONCACAF club rankings, so that's good news. But as for the international call-ups, we have one more that occurred this past week. Jason Russell Rowe joins the Crew players that have been called up, and he has been called up for Team Canada. Mo Farsi got his first international start, and he had 1 assist in Cape Verde's 3-0 win over Liberia. So congratulations to Mo. And now for Saturday versus the Seattle Sounders. It was not pretty. In the 45th +2 minute mark, goaltender Abraham Ramiro, thanks Taryn, thanks for him. We got him from LAFC. Got red carded. So not only did the Crew have to play the remainder of the game with only 10 men, they had to play the remainder of the game with no goalie because both Patrick Schulte and Nicholas Hagen were called up for their international teams. So Romero was the only goalie on the active roster. So Sean Zawatsky took over at goalie for the remainder of the game, and he gave up 4 goals. The Sounders scored at 45 plus 6, at 60, at 67, and at 70. Albert Rusnik had a hat trick for the Sounders, so congratulations to him. But boo, that stunk. And I hope we get these guys back soon. I hope we have at least one of the goalies back by Saturday, because it's Hell is Real week, and the Crew will be taking on FC Cincinnati on Saturday. The Crew is currently in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference, 2 points behind FC Cincinnati. So a win on Saturday would move the Crew into 2nd place. A loss would put them 5 points behind. A draw would leave them where they are. So hopefully they can get the win, and have a goalie play the entire match. That would be nice. That would be really nice. But now let's get into some college football, where we do have some good news. Loving the good news. It's the only place we really have good news, other than the Guardians, of course. So the Ohio State Buckeyes have dropped from number 2 to number 3, but only because they haven't really played anybody worthwhile. On Saturday, they played Western Michigan, and they won 56-0. That's right, they won 56-0, and they dropped a spot. So whatever, poll people. It's all right. Once they get into actual meaningful games, they'll hopefully move back up. So during the game, a freshman wide receiver, Jeremiah Smith, had a 70-yard touchdown reception in the first quarter. Cornerback Denzel Burke was ejected on a questionable targeting call. The Buckeyes led 35-0 at the half. The backups took over with a little over 4 minutes left in the third quarter. And that was, the regular backups, the second stringers, like, Devin, why can't I think of his name? Devin Brown took over at quarterback. But he wasn't in for long. Freshman quarterback Julian Sayin took over in the fourth quarter and threw his first career touchdown. So congratulations to Julian. And the Buckeyes had a whopping 683 total yards, while holding Western Michigan to just 99 yards. Insane, right? I saw something flash up on the screen while I was watching the game that Western Michigan didn't even get a single first down in the second half. That may have changed after they showed that, but at that point in it, I want to say it was about halfway through the fourth quarter, they had not gotten a first down. So crazy. The Buckeyes' next game is Saturday, and they will be taking on Marshall. Once again, no real competition yet. We've got until October 5th before they actually play a ranked team. So it sucks, but it is what it is. But go Buckeyes. Hopefully, they'll score another ridiculous amount. Now for the Youngstown Penguins. The Youngstown State Penguins currently ranked number 20, so they are up 3 spots. They played Valparaiso on Saturday, and they won 59-25. Quarterback Bo Brungard went 11 for 15. He had 125 yards and 2 touchdowns with a QBR of 153.33. He also had 194 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. So he had a total of 319 yards and 5 touchdowns. Just himself. Pretty amazing. The leading receiver was Max Tomczak, and he had 4 receptions for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the Penguins' next game is Saturday against Duquesne at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now for those UMU Purple Raiders. Those Purple Raiders, oh, they were kicking some butts. The Purple Raiders played Furman on Saturday and they won 55-6. It was the Purple Raiders' 37th straight season opener win. And next Saturday, they will take on John Carroll at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. And John Carroll, this is their last day on the show. Sorry, John Carroll. John Carroll, unfortunately, well, it might not be their last time on the show, but for the next 2 weeks, they're done, at least. Saturday, they played number 3, University of Wisconsin Whitewater, and they lost 34-7. And with that loss, John Carroll is no longer ranked. However, they did receive 45 votes in the rankings, so perhaps we'll see them back. I mean, if they manage to score a win over Mount Union, we'll definitely see them back. But perhaps we'll see them back once they get past these 2 really tough weeks. They played number 3 week 1, and week 2 they're playing number 4. So that's a tough one for them. So hopefully we'll see them back on here, back in the rankings. But tough loss. But they did score, so at least they didn't get shut out. But Mount Union, Youngstown State, and Ohio State all putting up the 50 plus. So what a week. What a week for those Ohio teams. But that is going to wrap things up for basketball, hockey, soccer, and college football. I am going to take another short break, and when I come back, we will talk Browns. Wah, wah, wah. I don't want to talk Browns, but we're going to talk Browns. So stay right here listening to the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And we will be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Era.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the Show of the Land with Jenn B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And be sure to check out all of our other shows. You just heard The Heart of Texas with its Drewski for all of your DFW sports needs. And let's whine about DMV sports with Mike Pat for all of your Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia sports needs. Earlier, we had Big Cheese Sports for your Wisconsin sports needs, and Chi-Town Weekly, which with Adam Karnick, which was just on actually yesterday, for your Chicago sports needs. Chi-Town Weekly is, of course, on Mondays. Big Cheese Sports you can catch on Sundays. Heart of Texas is on Thursday, I want to say. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. I just had it in front of me, too. Give me 1 second. I will tell you for sure. The Heart of Texas. It is. Oh my gosh, come on. It is, yes, Wednesday. Wednesday evenings. And shoot, what was the other one? Oh, Palm Tree Sports. That is also on Sundays, I believe. Yes, there it is. Palm Tree. Oh my gosh, this isn't working for me. Yes, that is also on Sunday evenings. Bernie is on early. He's on at 12 p.m. Eastern, and then Palm Tree is later in the evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to check out all those great shows. Now let's get into the sad Browns. So sad. Before we get into the crappy stuff, let's talk about some roster moves that happened over the last week. The Browns waived wide receiver David Bell and then assigned him to the practice squad once he had cleared waivers. They signed wide receiver Jalen Darden to the active roster. They signed wide receiver Kadarius Toney to the practice squad. They also signed linebacker Khalik Hudson from the Saints practice squad, and they released cornerback Justin Hardy Sr. and wide receiver Tulu Griffin from the practice squad. So the Jalen Darden, signing him to the active roster, actually wasn't a bad move. He did all of the punt returns in the game on Sunday, and he was the only bright spot. So on Sunday, the Browns took on the Dallas Cowboys in Cleveland and lost 33-17. I got nothing. I got nothing. I got nothing. It was awful. It was terrible. It was a terrible, terrible game. So prior to the game, the practice squad elevations were cornerback Mike Ford Jr. and offensive tackle Jermaine Fetty. Injuries during the games, David Njoku left with an ankle injury. He then left the facility in a walking boot, and it is believed to be a high ankle sprain, and he is currently week to week, which screws up my fantasy team as well as my actual football team. So that sucks. That just sucks. Sucks so bad. Mahmoud Diabate left with a hip flexor. He is also week to week. Mo Hurst left with an ankle injury, and he is also week to week. Tony Fields also left with an ankle injury. I have not seen an injury update on him, but I am assuming that they expect either he or Mahmoud Diabate to be out for a bit of time since they signed a linebacker today. Khalik Hudson was just signed today off of the Saints practice squad, and he is a linebacker. So my assumption would be that one of the two of those guys for sure will not be a go, at least for a week. So not cool. And also, like, not cool about David Njoku. That just sucks because as of right now, the only tight end on the roster is Jordan Akins. That's it. That's the tight end room, Jordan Akins. There are a couple of guys on the practice squad, but they are literally practice squad tight ends. So I don't know. I was hoping by today we would have some news that Andrew Berry worked some of his magic and brought us a tight end, signed us a tight end, but so far that has not happened. I would expect that Zaire Payton Mitchell would be elevated from the practice squad for Sunday's game if they don't sign somebody, and possibly even if they do, given that, it's Tuesday already and anybody they sign is probably not going to be up to speed yet for the game on Sunday. So my takeaways from this game. There is a lot to clean up. The offensive line was not great, and that is an understatement. They were awful. The offensive line was awful. Neither starting offensive tackle was active. Both Jack Conklin and Jedrick Wills were ruled out for the game. Jedrick Wills had previously been ruled out, but Conklin had been listed as questionable, but prior to game time, he was downgraded to out. So James Hudson got the start at left tackle, DeJuan Jones at right tackle. Neither were great. DeJuan Jones had at least 3 penalties at right tackle. So not good. Just all around not good. It was just bad. It was just all around bad. The whole game was bad. The offense had one solid drive for 75 yards and a touchdown. Jerome Ford didn't look horrible. Pierre Strong looked okay. But the offense as a whole just looked like they had no chemistry. Like they were just bad. Like they were just off. Like the whole team was off, really. I mean, the defense looked okay. They weren't, the dominant defense from last year. So something was lacking there. But towards the end of the game, they were showing the guys on the sidelines and they just looked defeated. And it was just pathetic. Deshaun Watson did lose his father and one of his best friends late last week or possibly over the weekend. Exact details haven't really been discussed, so I don't know exactly when. He was not raised by his father, but he did say it did take a bit of an emotional toll on him learning that his father had passed. So I mean, Deshaun Watson did not look good at all. He just was off. Like even his body language looked off. It was just bad. It was bad. Like, I literally have that in my notes. It was just bad. That's what my notes say. It was just bad. I mean, I could just keep going about how bad it was, but I'm going to move on. In other news, the protection order has been lifted on Mike Hall Jr. So we'll see what ends up happening there with his being on the commissioner's exempt list. And now for some other Deshaun Watson news that I really don't want to talk about, but here we are. Another civil suit has been filed against Deshaun Watson. It was filed yesterday. He is being accused of sexual assault and battery by a woman that he was on a date with in 2020. The suit was filed by attorney Tony Busby, and the alleged victim is filing as a Jane Doe as of now. I'm not going to go into the allegations because it's not suitable for this podcast, but if you would like to know more details, you can check out NBC or Pro Football Talk or any of those news outlets that talk about these things, but I am not going to go into it in any kind of detail. Let's just say my opinion of the matter is, if it is any kind of true, he needs to be cut and we need to be done with him, and that's that. I it's sick. It's sickening, the accusations. Absolutely sickening. Shout out to Patty who just hopped in the chat. Thank you, Patty. It's okay. It is what it is. I mean, unfortunately, not what I was hoping to see on Sunday, but it's week 1, new offense, so gonna look at it that way. But as for the Deshaun Watson news, it is under review by the NFL for a violation of the personal conduct policy. The commissioner's exempt list does not apply as there were no charges filed against Watson. It is a civil case. And Patty says the same thing. Only week 1. Yes. Agreed. It is only week 1. It is a civil case once again, and from what I understand, from what I've been reading, when the original suspension was put in place and the settlement was made on that, Deshaun Watson was to disclose any other incidents that could possibly come up. And those were to all be included in that original suspension. So if this incident was part of that disclosure, he cannot be suspended again. However, if it is a separate incident, he can be. And if he is suspended, the Browns can nullify the remainder of his contract. Based on what Jack Duffin reported earlier today, and if you don't understand contracts and salary caps and all of that stuff, he is a great follow. You can follow him on X. He is very knowledgeable about the contracts and how they work and the salary cap and how that all plays out. But anyway, based on what he said, since the Browns just restructured Deshaun Watson a couple weeks ago, it would not make sense for them to cut him before the end of this season, but it would make sense for them to do a post June 1st cut next year. and nullify the remaining guarantees on his contract, because whether they cut him now or cut him later, they're still paying him for this season. So we'll see what ends up coming of this. As of right now, it is just like I said, a civil suit, alleged, blah blah, alleged. Got to make sure get in the alleged, because don't want anybody coming after me for accusing him of something. Allegedly, he's allegedly accused in a civil suit of sexual assault and battery by a woman he was allegedly on a date with. Allegedly. Did I say allegedly enough? Let's move on. So next Sunday, I almost said the Guardians. Wouldn't that be interesting to see the Guardians play the Jacksonville Jaguars? The Browns will be heading to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence and company. I'm not going to give a prediction on this one. I'm just not, because honestly, after what I saw on Sunday, I don't have any clue what to think. All I got to say is one of those offensive tackles that damn well better be on that field next week, because this James Hudson, DeJuan Jones crap ain't going to float. At least Jack Conklin or Jedrick Wills had damn well better be on that field. And possibly Jameis Winston. That's right. I said it. Possibly Jameis Winston. So, yeah. They better be watching that tape like in detail, like slow motion, break it down. This is where you fucked up. This is where you fucked up. I'm sorry. Like, seriously, it was so bad. Slow motion, literally slow motion. You see what you did there? You see what you didn't do there? Don't do that again. It was that bad. So I'm not making a prediction. I mean, Jacksonville's a very beatable team, but if the team that played Dallas on Sunday shows up, the Browns are a very beatable team too. So, I mean, I'm telling you, everybody looked, even Amari Cooper looked like crap. Like, it was just, it was so bad. Jerry Jeudy had a couple of nice catches. I'll give him that. Jerry Jeudy did fairly well. And like I said, Jalen Darden was the bright spot. He had some decent punt returns. The two running backs did fairly well. Deontay Foreman came in for like one down, and that was about it. Like, didn't see him much at all. But Pierre Strong and Jerome Ford had a couple of decent runs and a couple of decent receptions. Jordan Akins was okay after Njoku went out. Njoku didn't really do much. He had one really nice catch, and that was the catch he got hurt on. Cedric Tillman had a nice catch, but other than that, it was just plain ugly. The secondary played well. Denzel Ward had a bunch of pass breakups. He should have had a couple of interceptions. Came real close to a couple of interceptions. Greg Newsome looked good. Myles Garrett, of course, looked good. Always looked good. The defense did get at least 3 sacks, and Myles Garrett had a strip sack. So, I mean, the defense didn't look awful. The offense put them in horrible positions with really short fields. So, and they did hold the Cowboys to field goals for the most part. They did have one broken play that the Cowboys scored on, and it just looked like poor communication. Somebody wasn't where they were supposed to be. But I am going to call it there, because if I keep going, I'm just going to go off. So, and it's almost time for Patty. So let's cue that music. Next up is the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax, and you can catch her on Spreaker. Following her, it will be Philly Sports Talk, and then later tonight, Sin City Sports. So be sure to check out those shows. And thank you, one and all, for joining me here on the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You can follow me throughout the week at Show of the Land IE on X for regular updates. Be sure to follow IE Sports Radio at IE Sports Radio on all of these platforms. And I will be back again next week, hopefully with some better news all the way around. Next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Thank you once again for joining me on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thank you and good night.